All right, guys, is it time to panic or is it time to profit? This is Bid Nerds. We're going to make some predictions. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. All right, that is right. We are getting after it. My name is John Polnik, and this is a live episode of Bid Nerds. We're coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. Right next to me, right over there, is Solomon Braun hanging out with us in studio. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the show. Solomon's a longtime friend of ours and friend of the show. And, of course, all the way on the other side of the screen, right next to Solomon, not in Las Vegas, is Michael Deeb in San Francisco. How you doing, Michael Deeb? What's up, buddy?
JP, I could not be more thrilled when we logged in tonight and find out that Solomon is on the show tonight. For those of you that don't know, Solomon logs more miles annually in a classic car than you will log in 2 years in your commuter car. He and Jackie get the Iron Butt Award because they do at least a dozen rallies all over the United States every year. And when I got to Las Vegas, Solomon had just retired from doing Cars and Cafe. I think that's fair to say. I think he was still doing it in 2016. But when I got there in 2017, he was off of that. But Solomon was the guy that once I met Solomon, I met everybody in the Porsche community in Las Vegas. And so Solomon, just so I can say this to you in front of everybody that's watching, you are one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. My relationship with you changed my life. You're like my uncle, and I feel like everybody that knows you thinks of you the same way. You're the cool uncle with a cool car that is the nicest person, and I got to meet JP and all of the cool guys in Vegas because of you, Solomon. Working at Godden was amazing, but knowing you enhanced my life. I love you, and it's so great that you're on the show. What a great surprise, JP.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that very
much. The Catholic Church is trying to find a new pope. We have the pope of the car scene of Las Vegas in our studio. We don't need a new one.
That would be a new one for the church, wouldn't it, Solomon?
Vegas. That's right.
Wow, it seems like such a long time ago. 2008 is actually when we started Cars and Coffee Las Vegas here.
Yeah. When did you stop it? So did that take you to 16 or 17?
Yeah, something like that. And then, it keeps going, but not with us.
In 16, when I came out to interview with Paul, the next day we went to Cars and Coffee with you at I think on Eastern, right? Wasn't it on Eastern?
Right. That's right.
Yeah. And I got them to park the GT3 RS and the slant nose G body nose to nose because they had the gills, and it was really cool. We took some cool photos. The following year when I came out, it was all about Cars und Cafe in front of that espresso place, Vesta Coffee. And so the baton had been handed to JP, and now I'm on Team JP. That's King Arthur. I'm Sir Lancelot. There you go.
We'll take it. All right, guys. And, of course, May the 4th be with you. I've got my t-shirt of Han Solo giving Chewbacca a haircut. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's my favorite t-shirt. I haven't worn this in a little while. It's a little it shrunk a little bit. It wasn't me. It shrunk. Let's get after it, guys. If you are new to the show and you're going, what is this Bid Nerds thing all about? What we do is we analyze the listings, the most interesting listings from Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, of course, Bring a Trailer, and some other auction platforms. Sometimes we analyze those listings and we make predictions. We talk about the classic and collector car market, and tonight is a doozy. The predictions from the last episode. What we do on this show every episode is we always start by reconciling our predictions from the last episode. So we're going to do that. The big theme tonight is the question, should you be panicking? Are people getting worried out there? Are the results of the auctions that we analyzed from the last episode going to make you go, sure, we need to clutch our pearls and get all worried? Or is it time to actually make some money here? Is it a buyer's market or seller's market? Let's get to the results from the last episode, and then let's get those done so we can get to predictions, because that's the most fun part. We're going to make new predictions, see if you guys can beat the nerds, play along with us. It's a lot of fun. And, of course, all of you guys in the Nerd Herd, thank you guys for hanging out with us live. Love you guys, and let's get to it. Michael D., what was the first car that we made a prediction on the last episode? What do we got?
JP, the unicorn of all unicorns, you or I think you picked this car. It's a 1992 Acura NSX, brought to market by our very good friends at OTS and Company. and Tazio's best bud, who's the third partner that I don't know personally. So please forgive me for drawing a blank on his name. But those three guys are the triumphant, the trifecta that create OTS and company. And JP, feast your eyes on this super low mileage, 8,100 miles from new, 1992 NSX in the holy grail of colorways, Grand Prix white over black full leather interior. The only thing cooler would be red cloth racing seats in that all black interior. But the big news here, JP, aside from the Grand Prix white black manual transmission NSX, is this unbelievably low mileage odometer, 8,100 miles from new. And so, JP, I really thought this car, despite a soft market, this car in this colorway with that odometer, with these great assets and that reputable seller, I was expecting this one, JP, to literally show up on the Richter scale and ring the bell for like a new high watermark. So without further ado, JP, we look over at our friends at classic.com and ask them to throw the first dart. They tell us that a 92 NSX manual is typically just a $74,000 conversation. I figured this car with the low miles and the Grand Prix white would do basically, JP, I was thinking this car could come close to between doubling and tripling that number. So in a soft market, I thought that it would be closer to double. So JP, my bid was $158,000, where I believed it had a chance to sell at my number. Now, they might be asking for more. They might be looking for 170 or 180, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. But I figured 158 should be the hammer, and then you'd have to make a tough decision if you're going to let it go for that number. John, you took the over. You covered me at just $160,000. Salo, we were talking just before we went live. You haven't driven an NSX. I'm telling you, buddy, don't do it. You're going to want one. They're that good. But what do you think a white one, which is a crazy color for the Japanese car collectors, and a super low odometer would do with really beautiful photos and great engagement by our friends at OTS on Bring a Trailer? Solomon, what's your bid on this car?
Actually, first of all, I can't even believe that someone would have a beautiful car like this and only have 8,000 miles. Clearly, it's a car just a mothball, and it just belongs in someone's collection. But I would say 149.
149. So he took the under, and that would be the smart play. Somehow, John, our car rang the bell at just $127,000 at Hammer.
I can't believe it.
Where it failed to sell. And JP, here's where it gets just unbelievably weird. 6 bids? 6 bids? Only 6 people said they would buy this car? What is going on? What did I miss a news story over the weekend? Is there something was there I don't know. Is this because the Pope died? What is happening? I don't understand that at all.
This car was on Bring a Trailer. It was the right platform for this car. The assets are absolutely fantastic. This car is presented in the way it's supposed to be. It's in a rare color. I mean, that result is still almost twice what Classic.com says these go for, on an average. But it's hard to go by an average when you have a car like this that should really be way above average. This car should really screw up that curve. This car should have been well over $150,000. And sometimes people just aren't paying attention. There wasn't really anything going on Tuesday. People, I think it was a Tuesday that it closed. And even in the comments, people were like, what? Yeah, I wouldn't have sold it either. I wonder, and this is going to be really weird for me to say, should this car have been on Cars and Bids? Is a weirder audience, is a Doug DeMuro type, viewer, the person that's paying more attention to this and more likely to have that $150,000 ready to go on a rare car? What do you think, Deeb?
So good question, JP. Let me put it this way. I have 2 answers for you. One, I think that's a great take. I do think Cars and Bids would have got a higher bid for this. That being said, if you and I agree, and maybe Solomon does too, that this car is worth a significant amount of money, over $150,000, I don't know if he would have got to the ultimate retail number that OTS and perhaps their client that they may have been consigning this car for was looking for. If that was 160, 170, 180, I don't know if it would have got there, but I definitely think on Cars and Bids it would have got over $127,000. So that's a great take. I would just take your take one notch higher up the ring and say, because of the odometer, I think this car could have gone to Sotheby's Motorsport and probably brought $250,000. You know what I mean? So I think at Sotheby's, where there's more money than say brains or good sense, then I think the ultimate collector value could have been found with their audience rather than on Bring a Trailer or well, actually, I expected it to happen here on Bring a Trailer, but rather than on Cars and Bids. So that's my take, JP. I do have a question for you before we touch back with Solomon and move on. JP, the hero shot for this car has the headlights sticking up. And later tonight, we're going to tease a car that you and I are representing. The Bid Nerds' first car is live on Bring a Trailer right now. And the hero shot that they selected, JP, is with our headlights up, right? What do you think as a producer and a person who makes these assets? Are you in agreement that the car's best shot forward is the novelty of having flip-up headlights? Or would you reserve that for later in the bucket and that the hero shot should be how you see the car on the road, which more times than often not is going to be with the lights down? What do you think of the lights up? Is that fly open or is that pop collar?
Generally, I would say have the headlights down, but with the NSX specifically, there was a generation change. They didn't change a lot on these cars over the years, from 89 all the way to how many years did they make this darn thing? The only thing they ever really changed seems like were the headlights. The earlier ones like this had the pop-up headlights. Then they had the headlights that were, kind of built into the nose there. So I think it's relevant. I think immediately you see this car and you know that it's the earlier generation one. I think it was a good idea for the seller to have the headlights popped. I certainly don't think it has anything to do with its failure to bring the money that this car clearly deserves. No. Solomon, what do you think of this result before we move on?
I guess perhaps I'm not surprised that it didn't go beyond. What really shocks me is that only 6 people were actually bidding on it. Is that because people were scared that it was going to go really high? And the next question is, do people that actually collect rare and fine examples like these, is the Japanese mothball car, is that something that brings in a lot of money, or is it usually just the Europeans that cars that do? I don't know.
If you watch this show, the answer is absolutely Japanese cars bring the money, and especially JDM, the young time. This is for. We talk about this all the time. We say the young timer car, and it sounds like we're just a bunch of boomers or Gen Xers making fun of young people. But the young timer is an actual term for cars from the 90s and early 2000s. That is a specific genre of car, and the young timers are really what's the hottest right now. So that makes this particular car such a surprise. We've seen Supras, we've seen 300ZXs, we've seen all kinds of these high-end, JDM cars of this era typically do really, really well. To see this one fail like this, that I think the only thing that this seller can do is hit a live auction, like Deeb said, and Burnt Oil brought that up in the Nerd Herd. So shout out to Burnt Oil for agreeing. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Is it time to panic? Does that mean everything's crashing? Is this the canary in the coal mine that we need to be paying attention to? What's the next car? Let's look at some more results and see if we're in the same boat with the next car. Or was this just an anomaly?
All right, JP, our good friend and friend of the show, Chris Carbine from Carbine Motor Cars, took to Cars and Bids this 2024 Porsche 911 Carrera T. This coupe has a 7-speed manual transmission and is showing just 4,400 miles from new. Located on a clean floor and a title out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Chris Carbine was representing this car with his dealership. And JP, feast your eyes on this car. As beautiful as that last car we looked at, the NSX looked in Grand Prix white. Tell me that this black colorway does not suit this 911T. Everything on this car is black. The wheels, the brake calipers, the window trim, even the emblems on the back. I love this thing in black. It looks so good. And what a great little new spot that Chris's photographer has chosen to post up. I hope more of Chris's cars are shot in this alleyway with the bricks. I think it's a really great backdrop without necessarily having to take the majority of his cars out onto the bayou and into the country down there in Louisiana. So, JP, we were looking at this car. Our friends at classic.com had a number for us. $134,000 is the average selling price of a 2024 911T. This is basically a 992.1 with a manual. We thought Chris Carbine's car was going to do really well. I took the over on Classic, so I went to $135,000 for my winning bid on his car. JP, you took the under on me by $8, you punk. $134,992. I can tell you what flavor gum JP was chewing. He was so close to me. Solomon, we're all in that middle 130 range. What do you think a black 911T with a manual would do if it just had 4,000 miles on it from new? What do you think that car would bring to Cars and Bids on auction?
You know, it's amazing to me how, Porsche people, they choose not to get manuals at the beginning. They usually just go for the PDK, and yet on the used market, they just bring in a lot of money. I'm going to say, this is a absolutely gorgeous example. I'm definitely going to say in the high 140s.
Got to give us a number.
High 140s.
149.9.
149.9. So Solomon's number will be just a bit over sticker, and a couple of the early comps for 24s were over sticker. But at the moment, they're bringing a little bit less than that, and Chris Carbine realized the number in that range. The Hammer, JP, was $131,000 where it sold on 22 bids. Chris Carbine is very pleased with that result. I'm sure Cars and Bids are too. John, anything to unpack from that? He got sort of right in that expected range. No panic there. I think Chris was pretty confident. We were pretty confident, and the result speaks to that. Is there anything else we can learn from that result?
Yeah, I think Chris did very well, and congrats to our friend of the show. This car, this bodes well for Cars and Bids. This is a solid result. Would this car have got a little bit more on Bring a Trailer? Normally, I would say yes, but we just saw that excellent NSX kind of fail to bring the big money. So maybe just the rumors of Cars and Bids making big changes is already bringing more traffic to the channel or to the platform and getting more bidders in the door. We are back to an era where newer cars are depreciating. For a few years there, people have been really high on, I don't know what everyone's been smoking, but this is a nearly new car, but it's not a new car. You walk into the dealership, you're paying $150,000 plus tax and all the other things that go along with that. This car's got a few thousand miles on it, and you're going to save yourself $20,000. That's the way it should be. This is the kind of car that should depreciate. We should see that curve go down, and then bottom feeders like myself and even though our guest Solomon is a baller, he's a baller on a budget. He doesn't want to pay full retail. If he's getting this car, he's buying it after it's a few years old, save himself a couple bucks. Am I right?
Absolutely. But the question is this, though. Now with the .2s that have come out and the possibility of some tariffs, my understanding is that some of the used car market might bounce back again. Because if they're actually going to be passing along some of these things at 25%, that means that a car like this is brand new, 150 plus, who knows? Mm-hmm. And then, so whoever bought this for 131,000, I think they pulled the trigger right because they got it for less than. It's still basically a brand new car. Absolutely shows magnificent in that all black. And then who knows? Maybe they got in just before during the eye of the storm, right?
Well, yeah, and we've talked about this many times when it comes to the tariffs. Will the tariffs increase retail prices? Probably, but it's not a one-to-one relationship. We have to be careful when we say a 25% tariff. 25% tariff is not on the retail price. The 25% tariff would be on the importation of the car. So Porsche North America would pay that to bring this car through the port and then send it to whatever dealership gets it. So the 25% goes on the wholesale number, not the retail. It's up to the retailers to decide whether or not they want to pass that additional number on to their guests and their customers. But price price is determined by demand. If you just if you start willy-nilly raising prices, fewer people are going to buy the cars. Porsche has always done a very good job at making sure that they will reduce the amount of inventory in order to maintain a high price, because that's what gives their cars long-term value. They would rather make fewer cars and more money per car than just go volume and make a ton of cars. That's why they make a handful of GT3s and charge $50,000 over for it. The dealers are going to have a harder time doing that whole $50,000 over nonsense now that some of these tariff costs are going to make that a little bit difficult, and so their margins are going to be tighter. But you can't just say, hey, we're raising the price. Okay, great. There's 100% tariff. So let's say there was 100% tariff on the retail price. Would anyone buy a 911T for $250,000? The answer is no. People just say, nope, forget it. We're not doing it at all. So price is still determined by supply and demand. It doesn't matter what the costs are to the seller. Ultimately, the buyer makes that decision. Okay, let's move on to the next car and determine. You want to hop in one more thing? What do you got?
One quick shout out to Randy Bloom, who keeps track of all of our things. BD got a Yahtzee on this one, 131,000.
Nice.
So Chris gets the win and BD gets the win. So congrats to everybody involved. All right, JP, we can wrap that one up.
Nice. And just so everyone knows, Michael Deeb is not in Minecraft. He is just got he has a poor internet connection. So thanks, Michael, for bearing with it, and thank you, Nerd Herd, for watching us, even though we're a little pixelated.
This might be my best performance where nobody can see me.
Like, good look for you. It's a good look for you. Yeah. You're 20 years younger. All right. What's the next car? What do we got?
Such an ass. I love it. JP, we took a look at a 1989 Toyota pickup with a 4-speed manual that was running no reserve on Bring a Trailer the other day. Our car was listed for sale out of Live Oak, California, and showing JP an unbelievable just 78,000 miles on the odometer from new. 2.4 liter, normally aspirated inline 4. This is a rear-wheel drive, not a 4x4. Believe it or not, JP, 14-inch steel wheels. Does this car take you back to high school or what? I mean, talk about bulletproof, and a 4-speed manual transmission, not even a 5-speed. JP, I got a question for you because you know these really well. Does this thing have drum brakes in the back, or are they discs all the way around?
Oh, that's got to have drums. This thing doesn't even have power steering, man. I mean, this thing is just stripped down.
I know, so cool. So cool. But it looks brand new. I mean, this photo could almost be like on the brochure. It looks like it's in unbelievably good condition. And I even love that it doesn't have a rear bumper. This thing is just, JP, what a great pick. Super cool. We talked to our friends over at classic.com. They said, hey, bid nerds, this car typically sells for $16,000. I said, thanks, classic.com. You're the best. And then I said, I think this car will sell for $15,000. And then JP said he thinks it'll sell for $16,000. Solomon, under 100,000 miles. It looks like it's brand new. What do you think this 2-wheel drive 4-speed manual Toyota pickup would bring on Bring a Trailer?
I'm trying to see if those are drum brakes or disc brakes.
People actually bought these things and they just mothballed them. I can't even. It's beyond me.
I know.
It's a work truck. I mean, it's a mini truck that didn't get minied.
Well, this isn't mothballed. It's got 80,000 miles on it.
And it looks really good.
It looks good. It looks brand new.
But the year of that, I mean, that's basically, well, in my world, that's mothballed, right? What year is it again?
1989. Yeah.
1989. No, that goes for 12.9.
12.9. Solomon with the crystal ball. Solomon, you missed a Yahtzee by $100. Our car sold for $13,000 at Hammer. 25 bids. Again, this car ran no reserve, JP. I will, as the bid nerds do, tip your hat to having the, knowing that your assets and your product was strong enough to bring a retail number with no reserve. $13,000. JP, my question to you immediately is this. You and I were both over on this car. Classic.com says that the average one sells for $16,000. This car is way above average. Do you think they left money on the table? And how and why would you make that call?
The one thing that held this car back is that it's a 4-speed, not a 5-speed. This is a super stripper. This is the vehicle. Every dealership This used to happen all the time. It happens less now, but back in the days, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, when car dealerships still advertised on TV and in newspapers, they would always try to advertise the lowest cash price for the truck. This thing was probably for sale at some dealership. Some dealer ordered this thing from the Toyota factory and was able to advertise this thing at $56,999 because the Toyota dealership across town, they had one for $59,999, and that one had a 5-speed. This car doesn't have a power steering. There's no AC. Like you said, it's probably got the drum brakes in the back. This was the car that they would order the super cheap one, and they would just keep it on the lot. They wouldn't sell it to anyone because everyone who would come in, they'd come in with their ad that they clipped out of the paper and be like, I want this truck that's $5,700, and they'd be like, oh yeah, we think we have someone buying that one, but here, have a look at this one. It's $6,200. It's only $500 or $700 more, and it's got the 5-speed, or it does have the AC, or has the power steering, or whatever that option is. They get someone to buy it, and then they start talking about payments, and that's how they it's the old bait and switch. It's the it's how they hook you, or they advertise like a monthly payment for $99 at 9.9% when that was low interest rates back in '89. Solomon, what do you think of the results of this truck?
Yeah. I think it's about right. This car was definitely sold to Grandpa, who went many times back and forth to the Home Depot, Lowe's, and to the Gardner shop, and that's it. Yeah. And it didn't need 5-speed. It wasn't going to take it on any road. It certainly wasn't going to go on the freeway. So I think it's perfect. Didn't need the 4-speed. He just needed to get back and forth because Grandma was bugging him to get the flowers and succulents and all the nails that he needed to get. That's all that happened to this car. That's why it looks this way at 80,000 miles. And then it just went to the kids, and it just sat in some garage forever and a day.
That is the truth. It's like the blueberry pancakes at Golden Corral. Let's go, honey. We're going to take that weekly drive.
I've got some numbers for you, JP. Back in 1989, the 2-door standard cab SB model, which was the most basic version of this car, the MSRP was $8,798 before a single option. And then the fully loaded pickup deluxe 4x4 had an MSRP of just $13,000. So there you go, JP. I mean, wow, it's holy crap. It's brought more money than sticker all these years later. That's wild.
Yeah, and this was so this is the one thing I did want to mention about this truck is it's interesting, as a dealer, since we're talking about dealers here, it is really important for dealers to understand something like this. If you go on to KBB, if you go online, if you own this truck, if you're that old guy that's had this sitting on the farm for however many decades, right? You look at KBB, they'll tell you this thing's worth $2,000.
Yep.
Maybe $3,000 or whatever.
Yes,
but here it is. Clearly, this car is worth well over $10,000. $13,000 is twice as much as the guy probably paid for it, brand spanking new. And this was a dealer that sold this car. This was probably a trade-in, right? Dealers that are not paying attention to the enthusiast car market they're doing that at their peril, because a truck like this comes in, the old guy finally comes in, he's like, okay, you know what, the wife and I are downsizing, or maybe he's a widower now and he needs to go out and get himself a Bill Belichick girlfriend, some 24-year-old chick, so he needs to trade this in on a brand new Lexus, so he goes to trade this in on a $100,000 Lexus, and some stupid used car manager says, oh, that thing's only worth $2,000, and they offer him $2,000. He's like, screw you, I have the internet. I may be a boomer, but I'm not a moron. I know what these things are worth, you idiot. And then he goes down to the next dealership and trades it into the dealer that knows, hey, we can afford to give this guy $10,000 for this stupid little truck because we're going to be able to recoup that and make money. That's a big deal. Dealers need to pay attention to this stuff. They just did an article about yours truly, the Bid Nerds, and Dealer Marketing Magazine by Ed Steenman. Check out that article. Look for us. All right, Michael Deeb, your image is gone, but can we still hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, why don't you log out for 2 seconds, and Solomon and I are going to talk about the ticket that he got out there driving on Lake Mead with Buddha. And Buddha, I know you're watching. It turns out you owe Solomon money. He saved you guys. You guys should all chip in and pay for your. How big was your ticket?
$430.
Oh my gosh, they got you.
And I'm the last guy. I'm constantly in the back because I had gotten one in another national park for $830. And so I learned my lesson quickly. Clearly not enough. Now, mind you, I was behind a couple of Harleys. I didn't want to crouch them. And so I stayed way behind. They were nice enough to kind of, pull to the side, onto the shoulder, wave me by. I did. I wanted to speed up and go far enough ahead of them so I wouldn't kick up any rocks towards them. Go around the bend, and there's the Ranger.
Boom. Have you done... Okay, so you spent $800 on your ticket to Red Rock. You got popped for $500, $400-something tonight, or, this weekend. How much have you spent on a radar detector?
I had one. It was on.
It was on?
It was
didn't
on.
do anything?
Yes, it was on. It actually told me... I don't think they're using it constantly. I think it's instant on.
It's instant on out there on the lake.
Exactly
yeah,
right.
that's it.
And guess what? For those people that do carry a radar, if there's no one in front of you and the radar goes off, that just means you got caught. It's situational awareness.
It takes, on average, it even takes laser 2.5 seconds to get a read that they can use in court. So radar is actually longer. It takes something like 5 seconds.
I put my brakes on.
You got to slam your damn brakes, and I'm sure you saved yourself a couple of bucks because it was probably you were probably going 35 and you got it down to 32 in that 2 seconds because we know Solomon wasn't going above the speed limit. That's a bunch of BS.
Poor Solomon gets waved by 2 Harleys and still gets a ticket. It's like JB. I had Commander Weatherly in my sights. There was no danger. I took the shot and broke a rule of engagement.
And I even told the Ranger, which is, by the way, he was really nice. I even told him, I said exactly what had happened. The first thing he tells me is, "There's no passing zones within 8 miles of here." Well, but I was trying to be nice, and they waved me by. Yeah, but so you mean that you passed them on a non-passing zone? Yes, but he said it was a good news because he was a park ranger, which means none of this goes on my Nevada as points. So I'll be going down to the court and see if I can plead my case and maybe get a $20 reduction or something.
Solomon, do you have a Venmo or PayPal Addy? What's your PayPal Addy on Venmo? Everybody support Solomon and send us $20 towards let's pay
crowdsource
it. Better than I'm not even gonna make that joke. That would have been funny though. Okay, moving on. What's the last car on the list?
All right, JP. We also took a look at this 1982 Mazda RX-7 GS with a 5-speed manual transmission that was running no reserve on Bring a Trailer just the other day. Our car is showing just 55,000 miles from new and is located in Brighton, Colorado. JP, the car looks stunning in this bright red and a bunch of tire dressing in the photos. This car is super, super shiny. It looks like it's going to church. Really nice car. Our friends at Classic.com tell us that the 82 RX-7 GS is typically a $14,000 conversation. Thanks, Mike LeBlanc, for picking this car for us. John, I thought this car would do just a little bit better because of all the tire dressing. I went $16,000 for my bid. JP, you took Classic.com's advice and held at just $14,000. Solomon Braun, any love for the RX-7? It sounds like a can full of bees when you open these things up on them. What do you think, Solomon? What do you think this car would bring on Bring a Trailer just the other day?
I remember these cars. I was in high school, Valley High School, 1982. I was in 10th grade. I remember these cars. Of course, I couldn't afford any of these cars. Only the rich kids either drove these or the BMW, the E30s. Absolutely gorgeous. But people are paying that kind of money for these cars that, these weren't anything big or shiny or fantastic. As a matter of fact, that rotary engine, was it reliable? I have no idea. No, I'd say maybe 11.9.
11.9. Wow. There you go. Wow. All right. Here you go, Solomon. I hope you're sitting down. Solomon, JP and I weren't even close, and you were further away still. Believe it or not, this car hammered for $23,000 where it's sold on 38 bids. JP, I'm going to say the Armor All on the tires and the no reserve and the odometer conspired to bring this guy twice as much money as we thought he could have to legitimately expect. What do you think went right? Because it's certainly not the assets. The color popped, but not because the photos are great. It was just a very clean car with a low odometer. You know, we saw that NSX, which is a highly collectible car, bring crazy money. RX-7s, JP, on the scale of collectability, on the letter scale would be a D. Like these don't really do anything. And yet this guy absolutely is laughing all the way to the bank. Did somebody overpay here, JP, or is this guy just ahead of the curve? Is the buyer the smart one and we just don't know?
I think these cars are having a moment. I think the low barrier to entry, fun, low cost, slow car fast era is here. A lot of people are looking at, okay, how much of these big expensive cars like that, collector NSX are going for? I think a lot of people are going, you know what? No, I just need something. I don't want to spend $150,000 on a car with only 4,000 miles. That's just, like Solomon says, mothballed. When you can get something like this for 25 grand and just go mob it and, have fun with it. The trick is making sure that there's a rotary mechanic in your town. If you're here in Las Vegas, there really isn't anyone known for these. There was one for sale right here in town. In fact, I was the reason why I picked why I wanted this car on the list last time was because there was one locally on Facebook Marketplace that had 60,000 miles on it, and it was perfect, but it had been sitting under a cover for 20 years. I mean, this car was immaculate, but hadn't run in 20 years. And so I was hitting up my buddies that I know are in town that are rotary guys. And I'm like, who's the mechanic? Who do I talk to about this? And they're all like, giving me advice about shops in LA. It's like, I'm not, okay, never mind. I'm out, Yeah. So it just wouldn't have been worth it. But if you did know these cars, they're not amazing, but for 25 grand, this is a hell of a lot more fun than a Mark II Jetta or GTI. And as much as I love those, this is a rear-wheel drive, front engine, basically front mid-engine, 5-speed car. These are a blast, man. You can have a lot of fun.
It's like a Porsche 924. To Mike LeBlanc, I'm just going to look in the camera and say, Mike, telltale signs that your podcast partner is getting senile when he thinks he selected the car and said the reason why I picked this car was somebody else selected it. So just ribbing JP on that one.
I know you selected it, but I could have pulled it off the list. I saw it on there and we're keeping this one.
Good save.
Because
Solomon,
I was looking at one as well.
Solomon, what do you think of that result? Now, I know you are very frugal when it comes to spending money on your automobiles. When you see somebody reach for an RX-7, do you think that's somebody throwing good money after bad? JP just gave us a lot of good reasons why that's still a good buy. I want to go counterpoint. Solomon, tell us why that guy's nuts for spending 23 grand on an RX-7.
Look, this is a Radwood special. That's all it's going to get you. First of all, hopefully it was in Denver, Colorado, nowhere else. Otherwise, like JP said, he's not going to find a mechanic. If there's not one in Las Vegas, and we're only 4 hours away from LA, the only place to find these there is a mechanic that can do something like this. Between the rattles and everything else, you're going to just be able to go to Radwood, park it, and that's all. You're not going to take this car on a classic car rally and put 1,000 miles in 3 days. Someone way overpaid for these things. It's a beautiful car. They're a lot of fun.
I think we're going to get some RX-7.
I love
Solomon.
Hold on. I love Mazdas. I love Mazdas. But $20,000+? Come on.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I'm also a Mexican Jew with a dilemma. You either, I don't know whether to steal it or buy it wholesale. So I look at this thing
still pissed that you can't get breakfast at the Golden Nugget for $6.99. All right, we got to move on, guys. We got to get to production.
And the worst part is free ham.
Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, we are back. We are checking our Our Smiths Aviera watches. It is time for predictions. That's what we are all about. You guys have been sticking around for that. If you haven't heard yet, There is a big car show going on in Idaho next weekend. May the 10th is Idaho Air and Coffee, being put on by our good friend Kelly Smith from Curious Office. So we're gonna visit Kelly and Anthony from Our Smiths. We're gonna have a great weekend. We're looking forward to seeing everyone up there in Idaho this weekend. Both the Bid Nerds will be there, so make sure you come and say hello. All right, Michael Deeb, let's get to some predictions. What's the first one on the list? I kind of forgot to keep mentioning it. Yeah, let's tease real quick.
Quick tease. All right, JP. So Bid Nerds has been lucky enough to receive its first two, what do we call them, commissions to sell a couple of pair of cars. And the very first Bid Nerds listing is live. Feast your eyes on this, JP. This is a 1979 Ferrari Dino 308 GT4. This is a fantastic little car. It was essentially Ferrari's first mid-engine V8. This car predates the 308 GTS that we see on Magnum PI by a season or two. And the reason why this car looks so unusual, it was the very first car that Ferrari did in partnership with the House of Bertoni. So this is a very, very period correct, wedgy and angular 70s Bertoni style. And the big news here, JP, is for a long time, this was the redheaded stepchild in the Ferrari range. But these cars are fantastic drivers because of the geometry and the longer wheelbase. These cars actually handle. They're a little bit lighter than those steel-bodied Pininfarina cars. And thus, this is the only period-correct Ferrari that could run down a 911 on a back road. So the SC competitor, and will give the SC driver fits because these cars go, stop, and turn just like they're supposed to. So JP and Lee and Rami took this car out to the desert a handful of times to get these fantastic assets. The car looks stunning in this black colorway with the red Connolly leather. It is a 2+2 configuration, and the car makes fabulous noises. Our car is from New York. The car is running no reserve. It is on Bring a Trailer right now, and looks like I closed the listing. JP, I believe it closes on Thursday, the 8th at 12:57, I believe. So I think it's 12:57 Hammer Pacific time. John, the car is off to a great start. We will cover it on Wednesday night show, but right now the car is listed at $28,000. We want to see this car bring 50, maybe even push $60,000 with a little bit of luck. We're very excited to represent this car. Rami had a blast driving the car in some of these driving videos. JP and Lee took turns hanging out of cars to get all these beautiful shots. Lee got some new equipment, and I got to ride shotgun for one of the days of filming, and I watched JP and Lee geek out on some of these new really cool cameras they use to capture these images. I was out here on a sunny week, and the day we went to Red Rock, it was snowing, which is just miraculous that we hit a snow day out at Red Rock, and it made for very dramatic skies and a wet ground, and the images are fantastic. If you get a chance, please jump over to Bring a Trailer. Go on to the 308 GT4 listing and leave a comment. Let them know that you heard about this car on Bid Nerds podcast. We will cover the car on Wednesday night. And if you know somebody that might be interested, this is a completely well-sorted, brand new timing belts, driver quality example of a car that is broken in like your favorite pair of jeans and will run with a 911 on a back road. Super cool car. Drop a comment. Thank you so much. We'll cover the car on Wednesday.
Make sure, too, when you go over to Bring a Trailer and you're looking for it, don't search Dino. For some reason, Bring a Trailer didn't put freaking Dino in the title. You got to search Ferrari 308 GT4. I am really ticked off at BAT for that one. Those guys are... They are. Okay, let's move on. Let's get to some predictions. We'll get to numbers on the Ferrari on Wednesday as we get closer to the end. So what's the first car on our list for actual predictions? Let's get it going. We don't have a whole lot of time. What's the first car on the list?
JP, how in the world have we not seen more of these kits? Look at this 1983 Porsche 911 SC that has been dressed, or as we say in California, identifies as a 959. Look at this thing. JP, this has got to be one of the best body kits. Look, I love your Beck 904. I love all of your dozen or so 356 Roadsters and Speedsters. But man, John, skip the Volkswagen chassis, make mine a 959. Holy hell, does this car look good. I cannot get over how stunning this car looks. I don't know who makes these 17-inch wheels, but they really do look enough alike the 959 wheel that if you were driving past this car in Monterey or on the freeway, you would absolutely be forgiven in my book for assuming that this might actually be a real 959. Now, I know in these studio shots and on your computer with high definition, if you look really close and squint, you can tell it's not a real 959. If you look really close and squint at the wheels, you can tell they're not the real 959 wheels, which are technically metric and not 17-inch. But damn, JP, the fit and finish of this is pretty darn good. I think like my biggest complaint are the headlight rings. And I mean, that's reaching for a complaint. That's like trying to find something to pick on your favorite supermodel. But man, the proportions of this are spot on. I'm very, very impressed. And then when I look at the listing, JP, and I see that it's only at $23,000, I'm scratching my head and thinking, is this thing going to actually sell for less than $100,000? And the chances are that it is. And I'm guessing that's because the donor car and the underpinnings are a 915 boxed 3-liter SC motor rather than say like a 964 or a 993, which I'm guessing a 993 maybe can't even be a candidate for this kit. We'll have to, I'll let you pare that down for us, JP, when you get a chance to give your input on this car. But John, the silver colorway matched in this case with a full burgundy SC interior, I think is the bee's knees. The 17s fit just right. The proportions of the kit and the bodywork, I think whoever built this kit nailed it. And I'm just shocked that we don't see more of these on the road already. I mean, I'm sure there've been plenty out there, but this one, just to the eye, John, it fits. It looks correct enough that you're gonna like tilt your head and go, wait, what is that again? Like, holy shit, So I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm so glad you picked it. And for the person who wants to be seen like this, I'm gonna say this is gonna be stunningly affordable. And the only bummer is that it doesn't have like a built 3.6 like that 964 we sold not that long ago. That would have been like the ultimate sleeper donor car for a transition like this, as we say in California, transition. Anyway, JP, there you go, 959 style. And I'm sure you're going to tell me, oh yeah, these were popular and everybody used to have one. I've never seen this sort of thing on the road in my Porsche days. So I'm blown away. I love it. I think it's really cool. And more so considering that it's probably going to go for like a song under $100,000. So JP, tell me what's wrong with this thing, or tell me why you're going to bid on it.
Yeah, right. This car really is awesome. The only real tell is inside. You look in the interior and clearly it's a dead giveaway, but you're absolutely right. Driving down the road, this car is definitely going to sell. It even has the flaps for accessing the engine, stuff like that on the side right behind both doors that look like fuel panel flaps, but they're not. It really is a good looking car. And you know what? This is one of those cars that represents the ultimate in hypocrisy, because this is the kind of car that some PCA member would see at at work screen, and they'd walk up, they'd be all excited that it's a 959, and then they'd look inside and they'd be like, oh, it's not a real one. It's not an actual 959. And then they'll go get they'll go get some wine in a Dixie in a paper cup or whatever, being all snooty, walking back to their 87 911 that's been backdated to look like a 74 RS. All right, like don't stop with this car. Also, why wouldn't you do this instead of RWB your car? This car is ready to go. This car needs to be, somebody needs to buy this car and make it into a Dakar rally car. Somebody needs to make this car into, it needs the livery. It needs all the cool stuff on it. And somebody needs to pull the engine and put something big and badass in it and have fun with it. This car, if you can get it for under $100,000, you could spend $100,000 making it extra, and you might get all the money for it back, because this thing looks the bee's knees. It wouldn't take much to make the interior look right too. Saul, what do you think of this thing? You're a ex PCA president. What's up?
Hang on. I want to say something before Solomon jumps in here. Solomon drives, Helga is a blue 84. And JP, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've owned a couple 84s. An 84 interior is the carryover of the SC. So Solomon, when you look at this 959 from the inside out, is it deja vu for you? Do you feel immediately at home in your brand new 959?
Absolutely. Now let me tell you this. 3 times president of PCA, and you are absolutely right, JP. People are going to look at this thing, and the money would have gotten a lot better if it had remained as an SC. People are, especially Porsche people, they are purists. They don't even want catback exhaust on their car. Anytime you touch the car, anytime you put chips, this, that, and the other, they just shun away from it. And while this is absolutely beautiful, and you're right, Deeb, I've never seen one on the road, but this is a great car to leave as an SC. It's finally going to be a reliable car that you can drive and do rallies. And the beautiful part about this, no one's going to say no to you, even though and it's in a pre-1975 classic car rally. That's what this car, because they always have the DeLorean rule is what they call it, because this is it's something that you don't see every day. Everyone's going to let you in. Everyone's going to want to see these cars on the road, and that's what this car is for, to drive it and put 250,000 miles in 5-6 years doing all the driving that you do. This is not a car because it's not the real 959, so you treat it as such.
Yeah, one you
preach,
can actually
Solomon,
drive.
preach.
Yeah. What's it going to bring? That's the big question. That's what we do.
JP,
I mean, should the seller be panicking right now? I mean, is the market going to shit? What do you think is going on?
JP, I can't imagine what this would have cost and to buy the kit, and then how much it would have cost in hours. I mean, imagine what shops are getting today, $300 an hour to fit and graft all this together and get those panel gaps to line up as well as they do. John, again, I am just, again, from my first glance at the photos, I'm impressed with the fit and finish of this kit on the outside. I think it looks really surprisingly good. Again, maybe somebody who's owned a body shop or knows how to paint a car will find flaws that my eyes can't, but just at a glance, I'm blown away. All right, JP, here we go. Let's get into it because I wrote down a bunch of numbers for us to digest. First of all, according to our friends at classic.com, a 911 SC is typically, a 911 SC from 1983 is typically $57,000. However, a customized SC in the secondary market, and there's mostly, these are backdates, John, are typically $88,000 on average. And just for good measure, JP, a Porsche 959 in the secondary market on average is $1.7 million. So let's just hold that for context while we look. JP, our car is stunningly at just $23,959 with 2 days to go until it closes. That comes to us, JP, by way of just 7 bids. Not a lot of action, and we close in 2 days. John, I am just going to say, all I'm doing is reading the tea leaves. I am not telling you what I think this car is worth. I'm telling you what I think it's going to hammer for. And that number is, I'm sheepish, but I'm going to say is $59,590. $59,950. So JP, I think it's going to just come under 60 grand. And if it sells for that, it's an effing steal. And you can put my name on that. I think that's an unbelievable value. I think if you bought an SC and you bought the coupe, the kit, and then you went to a body shop and had it painted and fitted, you'd be in for 180 grand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there's no way you can build this for that kind of money.
This is going to be more than 100 grand off is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Chris Carbine's asking the question, does it shake, rattle, and roll? Looking at this driving video, it does look like there's a lot of shake in the wheel. I actually went on the listing and asked them straight up, why are the tires old? Has it had a wheel balance or, a tire balance? I think that's the big question on a car like this with a big, fiberglass body kit on it. How much weight is that adding? Some people in the comments asked that question. Those questions have not been answered yet. This is the kind of car that it's kind of a weirdo. It's awesome, and it has potential here, but the seller has to play this one right. I know that I'm personally in a very similar boat to this guy. You guys know I've been teasing my Kremer, LS3 crazy car that's going to be coming up on BAT soon as well. And I know it's going to be the same kind of questions. Everyone's going to be going, okay, that looks cool. It sounds cool, but is it actually fun to drive? Is it actually as gnarly as it looks?
Yes.
And so the answer is yes. And it's going to take a seller, Michael Deeb over there, talking to everybody on the comment section, making sure that he's conveying what it's actually like to drive it. I want to know what this car is like to drive. I think it has the potential to be a $100,000 car. It's not going to. I'm going to say 59. What was your number, Deep?
59,590.
59,590. Okay, so I will go 59,959. I'll just go right above you and say it doesn't get there either. Saul, right. What do you think? And I don't think it'll sell at that number. And if I were the owner, I wouldn't sell it for that, by the way.
Mm-hmm. No, this car. You guys are rich kids. I don't know where you're coming up with these numbers for these things. San Francisco, high rises in downtown Las Vegas. You're in the glitz. No.
Whatever, expat multi-millionaire traveling all over the world.
Yeah. No.
He's got Porsches in 2 different countries.
Tijuana doesn't count. Anyway,
yes,
this
it
thing,
does.
All right. 49.9 because it's an SE underneath, and it just got. I shouldn't call it bastardized because it's actually beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, but only the owner.
You brought up all this stuff about the PCA guys, just like I did. But here's the thing: the caveat to that whole thing is the world isn't just PCA. There is a whole new generation of Porsche owners. There's a whole new young timer group of people that love old Porsches that aren't Gen Xers, that aren't boomers, that aren't Gen Yers. They're even, they're millennials and even younger. They're the guys that love the RWBs and they love all this, cool modded, unoriginal stuff. You look at somebody like Dino DC or whatever and all the Japanese style and the guys that are just laying these old 911s out. I think this car is certainly not going to be a PCA member. I mean, unless I buy it, I am technically a PCA member, but I'm not the PCA archetype, right? So there is a huge market for people that don't want stock stuff. It's not as big as the purist market per se, and we know that those guys are going to be clutching their pearls at this car, but F them. They're the ones that are going to miss out, and we don't really want to hang out with them anyway because they don't even go on the drives with our good friend Solomon. We got to move on. We have no time, and we've only talked with one car. Let's move on to the next car, D. What do we got?
All right, JP, we're just going to take a quick peek on Cars and Bids right now is a 2020 McLaren 600 Longtail Spider showing under 10,000 miles and listed out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. JP, it's very interesting. A year ago, we wouldn't have thought that Doug DeMiro Cars and Bids would have a chance to sell a car like this, but I actually think this car is fine on Cars and Bids, and I think they're going to do just well enough with it. John, our car is currently listed at $180,500, and that comes to us by way of 5 bids. It closes on May 7th, so that's 2 days from now. According to our friends at Classic.com, the typical McLaren 600 LT, Spider and Coupe, bring $200,000 in the secondary market. Our car is at $180,000, and it's got 2 days to go. John, I think it's going to get right there. My bid is $198,600. So, JP, what do you like about this McLaren? And give us a bid.
Yeah, what was your number? 180 what?
198,600, just under 200 grand, which is the average.
Yeah, I'll go 197 just to park it just underneath you. I think this car has the potential to maybe do a little bit more. The assets are terrible. Cars and Bids is getting more attention right now. This is not a car that I really like, but we can talk about it more on the other side of it. Saul, what do you think this car will bring?
It's blue. At 180 now.
It's blue. Metallic. We love blue. Helga's blue. This one goes, you guys, once again, richy, fancy, rich kids. This car's going to go for $189,900.
Oh, wow. $189,900. Solomon thinks it's all done. All right. Yeah, there you go.
Good, I mean, it started off that there was only a couple bids. The first bid was $100, and the next bid was $180,000. So there's a couple people that want this car, but I think people are going on Cars and Bids right now to find deals, and I think cars like this just aren't strong enough to bring the big money. What's the next car, Deeb? Let's just get it on the book so we can talk about it on the other side.
Okay, 1968 Lamborghini Islero. This is a premium listing on Bring a Trailer. Our car is listed out of Dripping Springs, Texas, showing just 12,000 miles. Now, JP, they only made 125 of these first series cars. All the cars are numbered sequentially, so this is the 104th example. JP, this car has run several times at auction before, and that's the thing about the live auctions is all those results are born in sand. So in 2021, it sold for $184,000. In early 2024, at Meckham, it failed to sell for 190, and then later in 2024 in Monterey at Bonhams, it failed to sell again for 170. So this car is going the wrong way. And now here we are in early 2025, and they're trying to bring the car to Bring a Trailer. JP, I don't think it looks good for this car. It closes in 3 days. It's currently at $99,999. My bid is going to be under those 2 failures to sell. I don't think there's more money in the market for this car now. I think this car, I'm sorry, is burnt. So my bid, JP, is $155,000 FTS. So where you at, JP? The last failure to sell was 170 in August last year.
Yeah, I'm with you. It is so beautiful. If James Bond was Italian, this would be the car instead of the Aston. I don't know anything about these, but I'm going to say 130 FTS. I'm afraid this poor guy's stuck with it. This is just not a car high on anyone's list. It's so gorgeous, but sad to say, I think it's past its time. Saul, what do you think this car will bring?
This car is rare enough, and you hardly ever see the Lamborghini actually out there doing the Ferrari and everything else. But this is beautiful. It's low numbered. The silver just really pops. I think he'll do a little bit better. Perhaps not as much as the 170, although the market's coming back. The stock market, that is, and so people will, have a bit of money to be able to do this thing and say, I think I'll just park my car. I think they'd still go for $149,900.
149.
Okay, very good bid. 149. So he's just under me, JP. And then I forgot to mention, not that it's relevant, but Classic.com says that the average selling price of these is around $255,000. But I just feel like this car's been in the public eye too much, and I think that's what's going to hold it back. John, really quickly, Randy Bloom selected for us this 1996 Maserati Quattroporte.
30 seconds, man.
2.8 that is on Bring a Trailer. JP, it's currently at $8,000. My bid is going to be where did I write it down? $12,000. Where are you at?
Yeah, and where's it at now? I'm sorry.
It's at 8. My bid is 12. It closes in a day or two.
10 grand. It's too ugly. What do you think, Saul?
Yeah,
it's automatic. Automatic transmission. Terrible. Unsellable. Yeah.
No. Yeah. If that, it'll go for, I would say, $8,400.
8,400. Very good.
Freaking Italians. It's like, it's a 4-door. We'll call it Quattroporte. That's a lot of syllables just to say 4-door.
Friggin' Italians,
friggin' 4 doors. I mean, in Italian.
Friggin' Italians, friggin' Randy Bloom. Pick a car with a manual, Randy. Come on, that's your new homework.
I mean, could you the new Chevy 4-door. 4-door what? What are we talking about? Solomon, thanks for hanging out with us. For those of you up in Idaho, we're going to see you this weekend. The Nerd Herd, thank you guys. Hit that thumbs up, like, and all the fun stuff.
Go to the Ferrari.
Go to the Ferrari and talk about it on the platform. Please. We will see you guys Wednesday night. Goodbye.
First of all, I didn't expect that comment.
Hold up.